Good day, and welcome to another Korean experience video where we're going to talk about my life and teach and learn in Korea, talk, and the surrounding stuff. So right now, what we're going to focus on now is essentially the experiences surrounding Gochang. Like there's still sort of Gochang is the place where I lived, by the way. There's still sort of a structure to my things, where I'm like, okay, this is what happened in this town, this is what happened there, this is what happened there, and I'm like, okay. This is what I'm basically going to try and do. And then eventually it's just going to be a mix and mash of experiences randomly. So now we're throwing consecutiveness sort of out the door. So, like random elements and stuff that happened in my hometown. Now, you remember the one of my earlier videos when I just arrived? There's this one woman who spoke English who helped me get on the right bus. Eventually, through Angus and them, I would go to a coffee shop and she'd be there. And it's like, I remember you a couple of months ago. You were lost. Try at the bus station. I'm like, woman. And then I bought a crap ton of coffee from them. And then I tried to support that coffee shop. I can't remember the coffee shop's name. I know where it was. It had this little tent outside, this little like teepee thing on the outside. If I walk down there, I'm like, this is the coffee shop, right? And this is apparently where a lot of the foreigners went to have their coffee when they didn't want to go to their local hangout spots. Or this is where they met up because they all lived in that area in Gochang. But that is not the purpose of today's video. So, well, that was part of today's video. So the big thing is my experiences in Gochang. Man, they are varied. From the girl that I entertained, the little kid that I entertained every day hiding behind cars, the funeral and everything that I've already touched on, my visit to the doctors, which is another, I think that's going to be an entirely different thing on its own. I need to make a note of that. And from that to my sports day that I've already told you about in Gochang with my school, to my first ever movie that I watched. What was the first movie that I watched? They opened a new theater right near, like, the Fortress area started upgrading quite a lot while we were there. They had like a traditional village that you can book, traditional housing that you can book a weekend in. They've erected that, and they've erected like a very small cinema. I'm thinking that cinema could hold maybe 20 people, and they had 4 of these cinemas, and it was basically just like it could hold 20 people. It was a very intimate type of cinema experience. So you sit there and there's 20 other people. Maybe it was even 30 other people next to you watching this and everything. Guardians of the Galaxy was the first one I watched, wasn't it? No, it was Mad Max. The new Mad Max was the first movie that I watched, which was quite cool. And this is where, that instance is where one of the Australians are like, we finished the movie, I think it was Michael, and he's like, hey, are you ready for some soup air? And if you've ever been to Korea during the summertime, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Soup air is you go out and the humidity is so bad that you're practically drinking instead of breathing. And you taste and you smell like that heavy garlic, that very spicy-ish, very tofu-like garlic smell hits you in the face. And you're like, yeah, I'm drinking soup air. I'm breathing soup air, right? That's the perfect explanation. Especially, like, I was pretty damn close to the coast. Not like I was still inland, but, it was very humid. And that's where the phrase soup air came from. And if you've ever been in Korea, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. But we're getting a bit off track. There's a bunch of stuff. The snow thing that I told you about of the fortress. Our school had multiple excursions to Gochang where I got free ice cream, especially in the summer where I got ice cream. We went to the fortress once or twice and I started exploring with the kids. And we actually started there's a hiking trail all along the walls of the fortress. So you start off and you look over Gochang, and then after a while, you look to the side of Gochang, and then there's almost no Gochang at the back. And then you start seeing Gochang again. I wish I had photos of that, man. That was so freaking brilliant. And what happens is the Gochang Fortress for skydivers is used as a marker for when they need to jump out of the plane to land at a specific spot just outside of Gochang. That's as much as I could tell, because one of my co-teachers told me, he's been here, he's flown there or whatever, and he's seen, when he's up there, they show, okay, cool, Gochang Fortress, the moment we see that part, or the moment the plane is across that part, you jump. And then from there, you jump and you go land somewhere close to Gochang. And that's just basically what the general thing was. And, so my friend, I told you about him, Angus, the one day, he's like, hey, want to go to a celebratory thing in Gregor's school? Now, Gregor, if I remember correctly, I'm just going to roughly, if I remember correctly, Gregor worked at an aviation school or something, or he's working there at an aviation school in Gochang. I didn't know that was a thing. So they were so we walked this one night. I think it was 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a Saturday, I think. So me and Angus, we're walking, and we're walking over stuff and around stuff. I don't know where the hell we're at. I'm getting fed up. I hated walking. In a country where you kind of need to walk wherever you need to be, I hated walking, right? I hated it. It was summer. It was, it's I carried Febreze, this tiny bottles of Febreze with me the whole time, and I just spray myself whenever I were walking. I just spray myself and all of that. And I'd go to the bathroom and just hey, I'm going to the loo. Go into the stall, spray myself with Febreze, and I feel a bit better. It was that bad this summer for me specifically. I was also very much more overweight than I am currently. I am overweight still, but back then, yes, I was quite overweight. So we go to the school, and there's stalls, there's food, and there's fireworks. Man, I never saw such amazing fireworks in my life. The school is firing off fireworks, and they've got 2 stations, and they fire fireworks into each other, and it creates a random thing, and it's freaking beautiful. And then the next thing came, where they started lighting up some effigies, right? Let me see if I can find it for you. So Angus is like, hey, Zaffa, just stand there and look that way. I'm like, okay. And this happened. Wait, hold on. That's me. Oh, that's me on the side. Let me just embiggen it. Luckily, there's no people. That's me, looking at a giant pyre being thrown. That's not the effigy. A giant fire being made. And it's okay, cool. So apparently they're lighting up fires. And the next one was probably one of the coolest pictures ever taken of me, I think, without any editing whatsoever. And it is this one. Right? This one. Kang Ho something. That was pretty damn cool, where Angus is like, haha, we're showing a picture of you. And that was quite cool. And that was an amazing night. Spent time with Gregor, met up with Gregor, saw some kids perform stuff on stage, and people were singing. It was just a jolly good time. And for those few hours, and this is a thing that happened to me quite a lot in Korea, there were events that occurred where during that event nothing else mattered, like Metallica says, but nothing else mattered. It's for those few hours or during those events, it was nothing else exists outside of this bubble, It was a moment captured, and it was an experience captured in that thing. And I want to say thanks to like Gregor for inviting Angus and me to go there, but it was just this peaceful, well, fireworks going off and everything, but it was this moment that was like, just, it was beautiful, you know? It was freaking beautiful. And it's that night, like, although I don't remember much of it, it remains on that photo, those photos remains in my memory, and random events, you know, that night remains in my memory. The fireworks, and I can't really clearly explain anymore what happened because it was so long ago, but I remember the fireworks, and I got goosebumps with that, you know, and that was like an outstanding moment in Gochang specifically. We had a bunch more moments, eating out with the foreigners, getting drunk at New York Cafe. Well, I'm getting drunk at New York Cafe. I don't know about the rest because they still had to walk like back home. I got drunk in New York Cafe because I just walked across the street into my apartment and slept, you know. Getting drunk in New York Cafe. Me and Aaron Stork going to the back and smoking. And we're like, we don't see. He's like, yeah, you know, he mentions, points out one thing is like, can't see the stars here. And I'm like, look up, and I'm like, oh crap, yeah, that's true. And then like talking about the perfect temperature in South Korea, which is generally just before winter. And just before winter and just after winter, when things start cooling down and things start heating up, there's like a few weeks where it's like perfect weather, where 10 degrees Celsius is hot enough to not be sweating and not be freezing your nuts off. You know, it was those 10 to 15 degrees Celsius in South Korea, and the area that we lived was the perfect day. Holy crap, you're going to hear cars in the background. I'm sorry. It was the perfect day. And yeah, I am probably, this is going on a bit too long. So the next one, I'll tell you about my caveman experience. Ooh, what's that all about? Well, you'll have to wait and see. So in the next video, I'll tell you about my caveman experience, and it's probably going to be a very shorter video than my normal videos, but it's also one of the things that stuck out, you know. So thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next video called The Caveman Experience, I think. Have a good one.